Yesterday is yesterday. Some like to make it their tomorrow. You are listening to the Midnight Radio. I have wonderful news, listeners. I have just found a way to contact Ghost 009. He's alive. For now, at least. But we'll take it. I spoke to him earlier about the lab. Scott says that all of the ghosts are still alive. Most of them, at least. We still don't know exactly what happened to 003, 010, and 021. I was also able to speak to Aimee. She pretty much said the same things, but it is wonderful to hear her voice again. It is wonderful to hear from both of them again. I knew Aimee would love to leave the lab, but Scott does not, and Scott is the only one who knows how to escape. Unfortunately, they also hate each other, so any hope to see either of them is a lost one. Scott said that he can be like a spy from the inside, but, he can only let so many things slide. The scientists want to work with him, and he told me he can try to do something about it. He never said what, and I never asked, but he probably has a plan. I just have to hope it doesn't get him killed. I don't think I told you how I was able to reach out to them in the first place. I have been stealing off the streets, so to say. A pin here, maybe some equipment there. Just whatever I find. But the other day, I found a watch. It was not some regular watch that just tells time. It was barely a watch by that point, really. More so some small phone that you could use for anything. It was a little broken when I found it, but I fixed it up. Then, I don't know. I don't even remember how I connected it to Scott's computer. He all but freaked out when I reached out. Scott thought I was dead. Not surprising, really. Also, now that he is working with the scientists, he gets to know some stuff. He told me about what happened to the kidnapped children, to a certain extent. My suspicions were correct. The missing children were in fact brought to the laboratory. For experimentations, of course. Out with the old, in with the new. It is the same project E027 was a part of. And then he escaped, so cool, I guess. If only he had some sort of, I don't know, a journal, maybe. Just some kind of recording of his plans and how he escaped. I asked Scott, and he said he would try looking for something, but he cannot promise anything. With my luck, the scientists would have burned it. Why keep anything the rogue experiment 027 kept if he already left? Probably dead by now, too, when you think about it. Scott said that the scientists were making new weapons, but I cannot imagine what they would need new weapons for. Are they planning some sort of revolution? A war? An uprising? Why? Scott is doing everything he can to stop the creations, but there is only so much he can do before he gets killed. I warned him about it. I really tried, but I don't think he was listening. That's how it's always been. Even as children in the lab, I was waiting. Always waiting, always overthinking, always overplanning, always cautious of everything. Not Scott, though. Scott was not reckless, but he was close enough. He would barely put any thought into his plans, barely think anything through, but he would make it through somehow. Somehow. We are polar opposites. Scott is hyperactive, always moving, and I may twitch or stim sometimes, but otherwise I would stay still. Scott was always the loud one. I spoke maybe 50 words per day. He would do anything if it felt right in the moment. I would put too much thought into things and the moment would slip away. But Scott is like a brother to me. Maybe he is my brother. Who knows? None of us had known parents. We could be related for all I know. I'm kidding. I'm tan and have dark brown hair and dark brown eyes. Scott is pale and has curly, dirty blonde hair and green eyes. Like I said, polar opposites. It was like we shared everything, though. We were two halves of one whole soul. It was like we shared everything, though. We were two halves of one whole soul. Where was I? Oh, yes, the weapons. I do not get why the scientists need the weapons. And even if they were planning something against the government, it is a little late. A new president was just elected. I think it was Antonio. I think I've heard that name somewhere before, but I'm not sure. President Antonio Jr. is literally the son of the last president, also President Antonio, but I think he will do great. Already things are better. There have been a lot less cyborgs recently. Also, President Antonio is hoping to make both halves of the megacity a better place. He wants to work hand in hand with the Undercitizen, so currently he is trying to form some sort of territorial government in the Undercity. Unfortunately, from what I have heard from Pluto, it's not going so well. One of the problems is that the Undercitizens don't really trust Antonio, so most of them don't want to work with him. Another thing is that it would be up to the Undercitizens to decide who should be in this new government, but there are very few people who are actually acceptable. For example, I hear whispers about this election, and many would like to vote for Pluto and Rufus, because who doesn't like them? Aside from the occasional gang, of course. Unfortunately, they are both well underage for elections, as Pluto is only 11 years old, nearly 12, and Rufus is presumably only 15. To enter the elections alone, they would have to be at least 25. The majority of the Undercitizens are under 25, though. MS is 13 years old, for example, and I haven't even mentioned any of the other orphans. So President Antonio Jr. might have to make a few adjustments, or a lot of adjustments. He is going to have to really think this one through. Back to my argument. With the new president elected, who, I might add, seems a great deal more promising than his forefathers, they need not the weapons anymore. Unless there's something I'm missing? Hopefully this president does something right, but who knows? I talked to Scott about that, and he said that even though he has the same worries as mine, he is sure the scientists have their reasons. There is not much else to say, really. I talked to Scott, I talked to Aimee, there is a new president, and maybe some form of government in the Undercity. That is about all there is to say. Actually, I have a happier update instead. It's silly, I know, and it's childish, but I mean, snow falling from the sky. It was wonderful. I've never seen snow before, but is it always that cold? When I told Pluto, she laughed it off. She said that it is going to get a lot colder than this, but I couldn't possibly complain. It's snowing, it's cold, and it's wonderful, and I love it. I can handle the cold. It was always cold in the lab. It's alright. I remember some of the scientists, the nicer ones, telling us stories about snowfalls. I do not think they liked it much, but that is probably because they have experienced it every year on repeat. They always talked about warm drinks and rolling around in the snow and snowball fights and, most of all, skating. When they were younger, there was a lot more to do in the megacity. There was a rink somewhere on the northern side of the city, and everyone always went there during snowfalls. I have only ever dreamt of that. It sounds wonderful, and even if the rink is there no more, if there is a will, there is a way. One of the nice scientists told me that one time, and I think that is why I still do anything. Why I keep on going. Where there is a will, there is a way. Yeah, snowfall. Cool. It is quite cold though. Maybe there's a jacket here somewhere? Aha! There is! Wait, no? This is my jacket from the laboratory. But I never brought it with me when I escaped. Oh well. It is a jacket. I mean, it works, right? I do not know who lived here before, but they had great taste in clothing. Not that that is important, of course, but it feels nice to say, I guess. What is this? Why are there locks on it? How am I just finding this? What? Ghost? 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 Oh my god, you wouldn't believe it. Ghost! Ghost, can you hear me? Scott? I can't hear you, mate. What? Scott? Scott? Should I just come over there? No. Don't come over here. It's dangerous. The cyborgs will come after you. No, believe me, Ghost. It is not a good idea to go here right now. No, I don't care if the cyborgs come after me. I'll be fine. What? Do you not want to see me? Of course I want to see you. I'm just worried, because the cyborgs are gonna come after you or me or any one of us. I'm still going. No. Don't do that. I'll fight them off. No, don't do that. Okay, fine. What if I blow up the lab? Or that. Fine. I can set it the scientists and escape. That also sounds like a bad idea. Hello? What do you mean, bad idea? I can't hear you. This one time, man. Amy's worried. Forget it. I'm coming over there. But I'm worried too, so this one time I agree they shouldn't come here. Ghost? Oh my god. Well, it seems I have somewhere to go, listeners. Scott's plan didn't work out at all, it seems. Good night, listeners. Remember to never think about the past too much. A book will not change its chapters simply because you want it to. History will not change its course just because you said so. Good night, listeners. Good night.